today I have a special episode for you. I knew that this episode would be coming out on Christmas Eve, and for some reason, I just didn't want to put out a regular interview on Christmas Eve, and I thought, what can I do for an episode that is fitting for this time? And as you know, if you've listened to or watched the podcast at all, I ask every guest what the kindest thing they've witnessed or been a part of is, and I love hearing people's responses. It's always so heartwarming and just such a good reminder of all the kindness that is out there. So I thought it'd be fun to put all of those together, everyone's responses who's been on the podcast so far for all 18 episodes, their story of kindness that they shared, and just put them all together in an episode for you. So I hope that you enjoy this extra dose of good, full of kindness, and I hope it makes your day a little bit happier and reminds you of all the good and kindness that is going on in the world. So have a great holiday, and I will see you soon with new episodes in the new year.
The last question is, what is the kindest thing you've ever witnessed or been a part of?
I mean, and it's so easy to think of kind things that you see like on the street, but when you're asked it and you're like, whoa, let me think about that.
And if you can't pinpoint just one, even just examples that come to your mind is perfectly fine.
Yeah.
I think it's always great when, especially in the high school, when you see other kids sticking up for other kids. I mean, when they stick up for each other, or they stick up for a certain belief. I think that's really awesome to see that they have the fortitude to take a stance and more times than not help somebody out who may not be able to speak for themselves. So we've seen that a few times in the school, and it's just, I mean, I'm just reminded like why we're there, like it just kind of reinforces everything. So
yeah, I mean, I would say that, a lot of our matches give back to the community, and they try to volunteer within their own community. And I have this one match that she's a Dover police officer, so she's been matched in our Bigs and Badges program, and every like Thanksgiving, kind of Christmas time, they bake cookies because they love to bake cookies, and they deliver it to local fire departments, local hospitals for the nurses, and other PDs around the community. And I think the little at first didn't know why she was baking all these cookies, but like now it's something they do every single year, and it's like it resonates with her, and she's like, oh, we gotta like thank all these people that are helping us on our daily life. And I think that was just something really cool that the big sister really implemented in the match.
Sometimes it's really nice when you get a volunteer that they might be a younger person, and they might be a little self-absorbed, and they might think that their life is really bad or they've got it hard off, and you match them up with someone that's got one arm or one eye or one leg, or and has this great spirit, this optimism, this light shining off them. And through the years of this person helping this person, they just get such a great perspective of how they're seen, how people see them, how they see themselves. So I think some of the most moving have been these like intergenerational matches where you really see these life-changing moments between two people that didn't really have much in common, but they find out they actually do. And I think those are been some of the most gratifying matches, or to really see that change that comes over someone when you start to help somebody else. It really does help yourself. So I don't know, it might not be what you asked, but I think it's those have been monumental moments, in my
yeah.
years here.
No, I think that's a great example, and it's nice to hear that they can have that impact on really changing someone's mindset and kind of attitude and how they look at the world and everything. So,
Yeah, that's true. I can't top that one. That's a good one.
okay.
No, it really, it's about the relationship building, and whether it's a relationship between the caregiver and the person who doesn't want the care, and then when they finally come around and then they suddenly can advise somebody else, like you'll see in the waiting room, you'll see two gentlemen who are not happy because of their individual circumstances, but one's encouraging, the other one's like, well, it's not so bad, 6 weeks ago I was, I needed a whatever, and now I'm at this point, and or they'll pull together their military background. It's like, oh, I'm helping out my friend, but he's not very good because he was in the Marines and I was in the Navy, and we fight all the time. But it's like, yeah, we fight all the time, but when push comes to shove, he's over here trying to get equipment so that his cantankerous friend won't be sleeping on a futon, which someone has to pick him up and set him down on. So
Yeah.
I just like to be a part of helping to facilitate that relationship and just see it happen. It just is good.
The kindest thing ever. There's just so many.
Well, that's a good thing. I'm happy to hear that.
So it's just to rank it in terms of the kindest. I think it really is children helping other children. I just you hear so much about bullying in schools and all the rest of it, but then you can go into a daycare and see little children that are helping their classmates or whatever, and I think children, not only are they our future, but they are a wonderful source of volunteers for organizations. And I just think there's a lot of potential that we can all be working more closely with kids and all the work that we do.
Yeah, definitely.
And with me, I think it goes back to a lot of early mentors I had in my career. When I think through whatever success I have had, a lot of it has come at the backs of really, really sitting down and learning. What are the ways that I can, when I talk about like making an impact in the community, I didn't just wake up yesterday and do that. It was learned over time. It was learned about how do I really, speak to people about the mission, and what are the best kinds of things to do to set myself apart as a professional and really as a person, right? I mean, learning the important skills of masterful management with people and around other people is something that I've developed only because people have shown me how to do that. Really great people in my life, and so I'm fortunate, and probably Nancy too. If you think about people that have kind of steered you in a good path. There's too many to mention, but even now I have. Earlier today I had a meeting with one of my mentors, Tom Raffio, who's the CEO from Northeast Delta Dental, and an extremely busy man. Extremely busy. He's involved in a lot of different causes, both from a for-profit, running a company, as well as other nonprofits. And I'm fortunate enough now, in my career to have somebody that I can meet with like Tom, who takes the time and dedicates his efforts to let me help Brian be a stronger advocate for heart health within the state.
That would be tough to Jen to nail down. So much good. And you
Yeah.
found that through the people who we've been in contact with swirls around the world.
Yeah.
You ask for help and people are so happy to help or donate or what can I do? How can I help? Which is pretty amazing. And the kids, the little warriors, when you see them and what they do,
Yeah.
they...
Yeah, I think just recently, I became part of the. I'm a physician assistant in oncology, and I recently became a part of a committee on the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. And I think so. It's called like Visionaries of the Year, and I have the honor of getting to nominate amazing individuals for this campaign that they start in March through May. And there's this one person I recently connected with was a man named Mike, and what he does is every year he just he doesn't have really a personal connection to pediatric cancer, but for 11 years now he's been just kind of asking families what for their Christmas list and purchasing all the gifts for their kids.
Oh, wow.
So I think that's a recent thing that's been probably one of the kindest. Like the biggest heart, just no personal connection, and it just kind of out of the goodness of his heart, I got to help him connect with some families in need, and he's up to probably, I think, 18 kids so far, and he's growing every year. So I think I just connected with him this year, but I think that's one of the kindest things that I've ever recently that I've ever been a part or witnessed.
Well, probably not one ever in my entire life, but actually the last couple of months, a gentleman who was at our adult emergency shelter was housed in an apartment in Nashua. And after he was housed and settled, he sent a fruit basket to our staff at the adult shelter. And they were just absolutely over the moon with that very, very small gesture. And I think that it just goes back to, not everyone who is homeless is the stigma that you might think. This gentleman just fell upon hard times, and he wanted to say thank you, and he sent something to my staff. I think that was an incredibly kind thing to do, and he probably doesn't even know how much it touched all of them. Mm-hmm. And it was wonderful to see.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, are you ready for this amazing kindness that I can't believe I got to witness? So as I mentioned that we have at Casey Cares, we have these group parties where we bring families together from all walks of life, but it's in your community. We play laser tag, mini golf, whatever it might be. And you can come in your wheelchair, you can come, if you're able-bodied, it doesn't matter, we make it happen. And so, of course, we have pizza afterwards, and we're sitting there, and there are these two families just chit-chatting. One child had cancer, one child had cystic fibrosis, and they're chatting. As it turns out, the cancer child needed a bone marrow transplant. The father that the child has cystic fibrosis offered to see if he was a bone marrow match. And can you guys believe it? He was a match. He ended up being the donor, and that all happened. I still get goosebumps.
Oh,
that
yeah.
all happened over pizza at one of our laser tag parties. And the whole time I'm like, is this happening? Like, this guy has so much going on with his own family. Wow.
For me, I don't know if this is necessarily the kindest thing I've ever witnessed, but it's the day I realized that I was a lion, is during the height of COVID, I had the opportunity to volunteer at a mobile food pantry. And so everybody in their masks, it was cold, it was rainy, it was gross, and everybody really came together, and these families were so grateful. And I just felt like this is a little something that I can give, and all these other people are here giving as well, and of their time, of their skills, of everything that they can to provide these families with food in a time that is a very stressful time for all of us.
Yeah, that's great.
And I think probably one of my single most important moments, I've been involved with Lions Camp Pride for 14 years. And I had the opportunity to serve as their president for 5 years. And there was one summer I was at summer camp while one of our groups was on site. It was from the ADA Association, so Juvenile Diabetes. And it was opening day for them. So the cars are streaming in the parking lot. Kids were getting out of their cars, unpacking all their stuff for the week that they were there. And there was a little boy named Johnny that was running across the parking lot looking everywhere for someone. And I said, "Could I help you?" And he says, I'm looking for Susie. I said, Susie? I said, okay, is she a counselor? Is she someone from the camp staff? She said, no. I met her last year when I was at ADA, and we had a friendship. He said, and I want to find out if she's here again, and the story goes on that says some 7 years later, because they were teenagers, Susie and Johnny got married at Camp Pride.
Oh, I love that.
And that's a touching moment.
I mean, my answer is obvious. It's my
Yes.
donor family. But outside of that, I would just say, I don't know. It's about my mom. She took in my little brother and made him a part of our family, and that's something that I've always admired. And he's 9 now, and he is finishing school this week, and I'm excited to have the summer with him. So yeah, just my mom being the person that she is, that even after having a difficult child like me, she had room in her heart to welcome my little brother. So
Yeah, that's incredible.
yeah,
Great story.
yeah.
God bless your mom.
Yeah.
So staying on message, I have been part of a lot of opportunities where for the first time the donor family meets the recipient. And specifically, we'll stay on heart for a second, even though all organs are vitally important. Having a mother or father listen to their child's heartbeat or loved one's heartbeat in someone else is it's amazing. And something that kind of full circle of life. So I've done this for a couple of years. I hear a lot of stories. Every time I hear a story, even if it's for the 5th time, it truly affects me. And it shows how valuable life is and how one can really share the love of life by registering or just getting this hard on. But I'm not sure it's appropriate to call organ donation a miracle. I see it as a miracle, and the results are fantastic. And even though there's a phrase, someone's worst day in their life, reversely is someone's best day. And to share those things together and having a family who grieves deeply, deeply, deeply about their loved one, having the idea that someone else is living and their legacy continues on is truly inspiring.
Well, I'm just going to go. I'm sure there's more than this, but the one thing that I think was really so amazing to see was that we did a bag program in Nashua with the transit system, because people are only allowed with 2 bags on the bus. When they go to the grocery store, they can only carry 2 bags back home with them. So it can make, when you have to do an hour each way grocery shopping trip, it can make things a little bit challenging. So the United Way took the lead and worked with Southern New Hampshire health services or health system to create these large insulated bags. And then they gave vouchers to the bus drivers, and the bus drivers would give the vouchers to somebody that they would drop off at the grocery store, and that they could go in and redeem the voucher to get 2 grocery bags that were large and carry double the amount of groceries that a grocery bag would carry. So it was a way to get people to be able to have basically like maybe 4 to 6 bags of groceries that they're carrying home versus just 2 plastic bags.
That's a good one. I like that one. I'm not going to tear up doing it too. I was contacted by a family in Nashua who had twins with special needs. Very in-depth special needs, medical problems. And I contacted a friend of mine, and we went, and it was awesome to be able to help them out. And Cindy,
No, you're fine.
Cindy, who's my friend who came down, was like, I can't believe what we just did, and
wow.
how happy they were to make sure that their kids were safe. We're talking about a family who did CPR on one of their children on the side of the highway, because on the way home, one of their daughters had breathing problems and ended up going into stopped breathing, and did CPR on the side of the road, But the hugs that we got from them for helping.
I mean, I see people supporting each other every day, and that to me is wonderful. Actually, I think one of the kindest things that I've seen in recent times is we had an individual who was coming into the center, and they were really struggling. I'm not going to go into the details of what they were struggling with, but they were really struggling. They had been coming in consistently for a couple of weeks. They were pretty new to the center, but they were saying, you know, that they were getting care that mattered to them, and they were having a really, really difficult day. And we had another individual who's been coming to that center for a while. They're pretty closed off, you know, they're pretty quiet. And this other person that was struggling, they turned to them in the middle of, you know, just this chaos that this person was going through. And they said, you know, I'm really sorry that you're going through that right now, but I want you to know that you're not alone and that I've been there and you're going to be okay. And it was just, it was beautiful to see, because these people don't have resources. They don't, and they don't have money, and they support each other, and they support each other with no expectation of that support being returned to them. And I think that is amazing when you see that level of humanity come out. I think the other one, and this is one that I want to highlight, because you hear a lot of bad things about police departments, right? Like you constantly hear that the police don't handle situations correctly. We had an incident, again, I'm not going to say the timeline or anything like that, but we had an incident where we had to have a person removed from our property in Northwood. And they were struggling and they were sick. They were not violent. You know, they could have been violent in that moment, but they were not someone that was looking to hurt someone. They were someone who was very, very sick. And I was able to go down and talk to the police department in Northwood and let them know what was going on. And when we did have to call them, I was blown away by the way that they handled that situation. They talked with this person for over an hour. They managed to get this person to put themselves in the restraints that they needed to be in and to walk to the car with them. There was no violence. There was no guns drawn. It was simply them talking to someone who was not okay and helping them to feel at least safe in the situation that they were in. And that, you know, working in mental health, you worry about that. And I get it, like they have rough jobs, but like you worry about it, right? And so to see that in practice and to see them make that effort with someone, that was really beautiful. And to me, that's an act of kindness.
Well, for Youthwell, I guess when I started out in this role, the way I was embraced by other youth serving organizations and other organizations who, you know, their mission is around mental health, and just other nonprofits. They embraced me, they educated me, they shared their knowledge with me, they collaborated with me, they partnered with me. They just were so welcoming and wanting, you know, to give all of what they could, you know, to us so that we could be successful. And I thought that was really remarkable.
Yeah, that's wonderful to hear.
Yeah, for me it was when we were getting started, we reached out to a young woman who is from Nashua, and we just wanted to ask her some questions about what she had been through. She was involved in a program that Trisha's really involved in, Magnify Voices. It's an art installation where kids can submit artwork sort of discussing their mental health, and it can be paintings or films, whatever, and probably another good,
yes, I know. Yes, Magnify Voices.
Yes, would be good with you. But this young woman, Mia, was shared her story of her struggle with anxiety, and she ended up coming and speaking at our inaugural event where we were introducing ourselves. And honestly, listening to her, she told a story about how there were other kids that came to the program, and how she then took them in and helped them with their struggles. Her kindness was really what affected me. She was a kid who had her own stuff, but yet took the time with the others that were struggling in the same way.
We kind of
were talking about this in the car, that to be kind, almost it's those small acts of kindness that really make a big impact. So just sharing a compliment to someone and giving a selfless act. My sister is a big inspiration to me as well. She's so selfless and puts so many people before herself. And so I always strive to do that as much as possible, to be there for my friends and family, to make a positive impact on other people's lives. You never know what someone else is going through. And so just making sure that you're empathetic and truly listening to someone when they're talking to you. I think those small efforts and acts can really be transformational on someone's life and really show them kindness that they might need.
So I really appreciate the premise of paying it forward. I have witnessed a lot of situations where that's come into play. And I think one of the most touching for me is I was at the grocery store, not in the best headspace, because who wants to go grocery shopping? And I was, bless
Sorry.
you, I was in line and kind of being a little impatient. I'll admit that. And the woman that was checking out was older and was counting out her money as they were carefully ringing items through. She had a budget that she needed to stay on. Well, she didn't have enough to cover everything that she needed. So the gentleman that was next to her, who had no relation, just without missing a beat, opened his wallet, took out his card, and paid for the rest of her groceries for that day.
Yeah.
And I still get a little choked up because she was ecstatic and so relieved. You could see the tension melt away from her shoulders. She was trying to make those hard decisions, what do I absolutely need? And he said, it's okay, today's okay, and took care of her. And I think moments like those are really powerful.
I would agree, and thank you for sharing that, because I love hearing those stories, because it's those small acts of kindness and those small gestures that can totally, make a huge impact on somebody's day, even their life.
Yep.
And I think it's those little things happening every day that you don't always hear about, but are going on all the time from everyday people just going about their life. And I think those little things add up to big things and really do make the world a better place. So.
I agree. And that's why I always encourage people to engage in those, moments if they can. Have a couple of spare gift cards on you, or, add it into your budget, or even cards of inspiration. Maybe someone's having a really tough day and they find a lovely note in the store that just picks up their mood. I mean, there's just so many different ways that you can make a big impact by doing something small.
Yeah, definitely. Did you have something you want to share?
It's hard to top
know.
that one. I don't know if I have just one in particular, but I'm very blessed that I get to work with some amazing volunteers, and I have over the course of my time at the Cancer Society, and I just get to see them in action. I think that's a great gift for me to see folks in action, and it's humbling to hear what they've gone through and what they've overcome in many cases. But it's rewarding to me to help empower them, to give them that voice, or actually I'm not giving them anything, helping them to make their voice be heard, I guess, because they have the power to do it themselves. I'm not giving them anything. I'm just helping them along the way. But it's an amazing gift to be able to see these folks come in and affect positive change for other people. that they will never meet. I mean, I guess that's probably the most rewarding thing for me too, is to know that all the work that I do in the 2 states that I work in, that people that will never know my name, and that's okay. No, I'm helping to make positive change for them, and that's a great thing, and to change even the most hard-boiled legislators' mind on certain things, to show them that they have the power to affect positive change for other people, that it's the greatest feeling in the world. So I don't have one in particular, but it's just I guess it's a thank you to all those people that have helped make this state a better place, and to help folks going through some of the most god-awful situations, cancer, helping to make it a little easier.
Sure, I'll share an example from my buddy Caitlin. So my birthday was in late May, and Caitlin and I got together, for we got sushi together. And afterward, when we were walking in the parking lot, she's like, "I have your birthday gift." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, what?" And it this dinner wasn't a birthday dinner. We had just gone out to eat for fun. But we went to the car, and she had this big cooler bag from Trader Joe's filled with Trader Joe's snacks and drinks that I had never tried before. And that's something that Caitlin and I always talk about. Every time we FaceTime, I'm asked, because she works at Trader Joe's, I'm always asking her, what are the new products? What's good? What do I have to try? And she's always excited to tell me. So it was such a thoughtful gift to give me, especially I didn't expect anything from her. So I just wanted to share that story that, I thought that was such a thoughtful gift, something that we had made a connection on, and that she wanted to share all these snacks with me that she thought were worth trying. So
yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
That was very thoughtful of her.
Yeah, she's great.
So I had a hard time coming up with one specific,
I know,
because there were so many
yeah.
different examples. But I guess I was thinking about a couple of weeks ago for my virtual event, I did. The topic was leading with kindness, actually. And so we were, as a group, we were talking about how, with kindness, it's about doing something without expecting something in return, and I guess I just see that in our community all the time. We have an advisory board that is made up of, just so many incredible high energy people, who already have dedicated full-time jobs, but they make room, and make time to support Best Buddies. And we have a lot of events as a nonprofit. We also have a lot of fundraising events. We have a lot of social events. It's a very, high energy. So it just I guess just seeing how many people, whether it's the school chapter leaders or volunteers that join our citizens group or our speech coaches at our ambassador trainings.
Yeah.
And we have so many volunteers. When we do our friendship walks, we have teams from all over the state come, and just seeing how many, I just find it's amazing to see how many people that are just willing to give of themselves and their time to make the world better for somebody else.
Yeah, there's so many, of course, working in this field, there's so many. And I was thinking about all the examples that I could provide. But I was thinking, and I think a lot of people probably who come on this podcast and work in emotionally charged fields would agree that for me, it's the everyday kindness. It's those small things that add up. There's no one big event that has allowed me to continue my journey in animal welfare, which is not always the easiest. We tend to see some pretty sad things. It is the daily kindness of the employees, especially those who are boots on the ground, and they may have just held an animal as it passed away, and then they move on to the next one and love that animal with as much love as they did for the last one. And I think having that passion and perseverance is what has kept me going, and being around some amazing people who operate that way. So I can't say that it's one specific thing. It's the everyday kindness of the people that work in animal shelters. I mean, it's a hard job, and they love with their whole heart. and it's amazing to be a part of.
Probably one of the most profound and impactful experiences I've had in scouting was from a boy. His name was John, or his name is John. And John lives in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. I served that community for some time. John was an adoptee from a Russia orphanage. And when his mom went to Russia to adopt a child and found John, if you're not familiar with past experiences with orphans in Russia, sometimes their conditions are deplorable. And if they have any type of motory or development delays or any type of physical or mental delays, they're often kept in really terrible situations. And so John has cerebral palsy and was left in kind of a crate that wasn't really much bigger to turn around in. And John's mom found him and immediately knew John's home was going to be with her in Bethlehem. And you can experience and imagine how difficult that is as a mom with new challenges, a new child, really not verbal, a lot of physical disabilities. And she thought scouting would be a perfect opportunity to get John involved and to experience life and develop and build his confidence. And John joined Scouts, and I had the pleasure of being at John's Eagle Scout Court of Honor when he obtained the rank of Eagle Scout, and overcome all obstacles. Went to summer camp. You can imagine walking through the woods with walking support during summer camp over rocks and all those accommodations. And it showed two things to me. One, the love and perseverance of a family and a child to overcome the obstacles in front of them and to take advantage of what they have, and to embrace scouting as an opportunity to do that. But I think the other side, too, is how much scouting provided to John to become a really impactful and purposeful adult, very active in his community, very active graduate of community college, very active member and participating adult. And that kindness and that openness and that ability to accept regardless of what you're experiencing in life, when you come and you put on your Scout t-shirt or your Scout uniform and you're working together in a beloved community that are all there to support one another. And if you can take those experiences and then transpose those into your actual life where you're thinking about doing the right thing for other people at all times, and you don't just do it with your Scout uniform on, those have lasting generational impacts. And John has made a lasting impact on my life. One, to recognize, maybe push a little bit harder because it'll be okay. But two, just that sense of community and what it means to support one another and how that can change the individual's life, in John's case, but also change your life because you learn a little bit more about yourself. Every scouting story can come back to that, and all the impactful ones have the same emotion around it. That's why I'm in scouting. That's why I became a scout as an adult. And that's why I'm so passionate about the mission, so we can ensure that every child feels safe, comfortable, builds the confidence they need, and has a place where they can thrive. And scouting affords that opportunity.
The kindest thing that I've been a part of is, or witnessed, I feel very lucky and very fortunate, and I'm so happy, and I thank God every day for us being part of this program and, to kind of give back. Sometimes when I'm at the grocery store, I'll pay for the person's groceries behind me, or just, I think kindness goes a long way, and just doing something good, and you can kind of start a kind of like a domino effect, and it really can be impactful or help them. So that's, one of the things that I like to do to give back, especially that it makes me feel good in a way that I know it'll come around tenfold and be, it'll continue to grow, and people will continue to do good things, especially now around the holidays too. You don't know what somebody's struggles are at home.